She slept in an uncompleted building at 18 years old, pregnant, homeless, and begging the father of her child not to walk away. He walked away.
11 years later, that same man stood behind a pulpit, 3,000 people calling him Daddy, his hands raised over a congregation, chanting his name.
When a woman in the front pew stood up, walked to the front, and asked for the microphone.
What happened in the next 90 seconds ended his marriage, his ministry, and the name he'd been hiding behind for over a decade. This is the story of Blessing, a girl with nothing, who grew up to make two untouchable men answer for everything they thought they'd buried.
Stay to the end, because the second man doesn't even get a chance to lie. This story will keep you glued until the last second.
She escaped one betrayal, but her greatest heartbreak was only beginning.
In the front pew, a quiet man checks his watch. Behind the altar stand two men this congregation calls Daddy and Reverend Father.
A church bell rings on a Sunday morning. Sunlight pours through stained glass. 2,000 people are on their feet, singing, hands raised to the ceiling.
Men with testimonies about miracles. Men with private drivers and Sunday best. They don't know she's in the building. They don't know that what she's carrying isn't a hymn book. It's a folder. And in a few minutes, every phone in that sanctuary is going to be pointed at them.
This is the day Blessing stops asking the world for mercy. This is the day she hands some of it back to the men who never gave her any.
Mama Chisome's buka had a leaning signboard and a pot of stew that never seemed to run empty, no matter how many mouths came through it.
You have another child?
Yes. She's 2. Her name is Adora.
There is a registered home nearby, run by the Sisters of Mercy. Good people, I know them personally. If you wanted to, there are options for placing a child while you stabilize your situation. It doesn't have to be permanent.
Blessing looked at the phone number for a very long time. She looked at the baby. She thought about every person who had ever been supposed to protect her.
The mother who left, the woman with the badge, the man with the Bible, the man with the collar.
Every person who had held power over her life and used it, or failed to use it, in ways that had never, not once, served her. She thought about what she could promise this child: a porch, a concrete floor, a mother who loved her absolutely, completely, with every atom of her battered self. Was that enough? Was love enough when it came without walls or a bed or a future?
I know what I can give you. I know exactly what I can give you. And I know what I can't.
I was you, you know. I was exactly you. 7 years old in a plastic chair hoping someone would pick me. And someone did pick me. And she was supposed to protect me. I don't want to be that for you. I don't want you to be picked by the wrong hands because I couldn't give you the right ones.
Sisters of Mercy, good morning.
Good morning, sister. My name is Blessing. I need to speak with someone about a child. My child.
The Sisters of Mercy came the next morning. There was a woman in a white habit with a kind, unhurried face.
There was paperwork. Let me take the baby for now. Blessing did not scream. She did not beg or break or fall apart. She held the baby for one more minute after she had already said yes.
Your name is... I haven't named you yet.
Nena. Your name is Nena. It means father's mother. Because you deserve to know you come from somewhere, even if I can't show you where.
The particular knowledge of having done the hardest thing a human body can do, not because she didn't love, but because she did.
She walked back to the buka. Mama Chisom looked at her face and said nothing. She put a plate of food on the table. Eat.
Because survival was still the work. Because Adaura was still on her back. Because the world kept going even when you lost everything and you either kept going with it or you stopped.
Mama Chisom never demanded explanations, for the night's blessing went quiet, staring at a pepper she'd already finished slicing. Eat first, talk later. Or don't talk. Eat first.
It was on a Tuesday evening, while they were pulling down the shutters, that
You're sharp, Blessing. Sharper than this frying pan deserves. You ever think of going back to school? Blessing laughed, but it wasn't a real laugh. It was the kind that escapes when something hurts too much to answer honestly. With what money, Mama? With what life? With my money. With this life. The one we're building right here. I never had children of my own waist could carry. God gave me you instead. Don't argue with me in my own kitchen.
Thank you so much, Ma. You have been more than a mother to me.
That night, Blessing cried into a pillow that smelled like fried plantain and onions. For the first time since she was a child. She started night classes that same month. She studied under a kerosene lantern when the light went out.
Twice a month, rain or no rain, Blessing made the 2-hour journey to the Sisters of Mercy, where her second-born, Nena, was growing up without her.
She was never allowed to say mommy. The matron had made that clear from the day she signed the papers. She was Auntie Blessing. A family friend, a sponsor, a kind stranger who brought plantain chips and sat a little too long on the visitor's bench. But Nena knew. Children always know more than adults think they do.
Auntie, why do your eyes do that when you leave?
Because I love this place very much, and it's hard to leave the things we love. She didn't lie. She just didn't say all of it.
Walking back to the bus stop that day, she made herself a promise out loud, to nobody but the dusty road. I promise I'll make it out of here and build a better life. I will come back for you properly. Both of you. I swear it on whatever is left of me.
University was not kind to a woman who had once slept in uncompleted buildings and church pews. The other students complained about Wi-Fi and canteen food. Blessing had once measured a good day by whether she ate at all. She never told them this. She simply outworked everyone in the room.
you wrote like someone defending her life in there.
I was, sir. I usually am.
She graduated 4 years later with distinction. Mama Chisome sat in the front row of the convocation ground in her best wrapper,
with Malcolm weeping loudly enough that strangers turned to see what tragedy had occurred, only to find a woman laughing through tears, both fists raised to the sky.
That's my daughter! That's my daughter!
The email came on a Thursday. Blessing read it, the phone trembling slightly in her hand. She read it 3 times before the words held still. Is this really happening? She had been offered a position at one of the country's largest financial firms. She didn't scream. She didn't run. She sat down right there on the curb, put her face in her hands, and let 11 years of survival leave her body in a single, silent breath.
When she finally called Mama Chizome, the older woman didn't say congratulations. Now go and get your daughter. The matron at the orphanage cried harder than Nena did, which was saying something because by then Nena, 8 years old, all elbows and questions, cried enough for both of them.
Are you really my mommy?
Blessing had rehearsed this moment for 8 years. She still didn't have better words than the ones that came out.
I am, and I am so sorry it took this long. I never stopped trying.
Nena studied her mother's face for a long moment, the way children study truth before they accept it.
Then she stepped forward and wrapped both arms around her mother's waist so tightly that Blessing had to grip the doorframe just to stay standing.
That night, Blessing sat at the edge of her daughter's new bed long after the girl had fallen asleep, watching her breathe.
Memorizing a face she had only ever known through stolen visiting hours. She thought, too, of her second daughter, still waiting, still at the other orphanage.
You too. I haven't forgotten you. I will never forget you.
Success did something unexpected to Blessing. It didn't soften the old wounds. It sharpened them.
With money came access. With access came a quiet, methodical private investigator named Mr. Basie. He's a man who specialized, he said, in finding people who didn't want to be found. This isn't a custody case. This isn't a debt. What exactly do you want done?
I don't want their money. I don't want them dead. I don't want revenge. Not the way you mean it. I want every person who calls them daddy or father to know exactly who raised them up. I want the truth spoken in the same room they preach lies in.
That'll take a few months.
I have given them 11 years. They can wait a few more months for me.
The investigation took 8 months. What it uncovered was worse than Blessing expected, and she had expected quite a lot.
Oliver, the handsome young man who once brought her suya and small gifts by Mama Chisome's buka, was now Pastor Oliver.
Senior pastor of a fast-growing megachurch branch, married 14 years, father of 3, beloved for sermons about integrity and the dangers of hidden sin. Reverend Father Okeke had been quietly moved through 4 parishes in 9 years.
Each transfer, Mr. Bassey's report noted, followed a pattern the diocese had never publicly addressed.
He was now a respected Monsignor, overseeing a large parish with its own primary school.
If you're enjoying this story, take a moment to support the channel. Like, share, and subscribe to the Narrative Hub with Paula.
Blessing read both files at her kitchen table at 2 in the morning, Nena asleep down the hall, and felt something old and exhausted finally turn into something else. Not rage exactly, something colder, clearer, far more patient than rage.
They built whole kingdoms on a foundation they tried to bury under me.
She did not go to the press first. She thought about it and decided against it.
If I hand this to a newspaper, it becomes a scandal about me, a headline. People will ask what I was wearing, why I didn't report it sooner. I know how this goes.
Then how, my daughter? I go to them, in their own house, in front of the very people who trust them. Let the ones who build the kingdom watch the foundation crack with their own eyes.
She visited both churches privately first, not to confront, but to confirm. She sat in the back pew at Pastor Oliver's church one Sunday,
Unnoticed, and watched him raise his hands over a congregation chanting his name. She visited Reverend Father Oke's parish the following week and watched children
From his school sing in white robes at the very altar he stood behind.
The first Sunday,
Pastor Oliver's church seated 3,000 people. On the Sunday Blessing chose, every seat was full. He was midway through a sermon on walking in the light.
The first Sunday.
The irony was not lost on her when she rose from her pew, walked calmly down the center aisle, and asked the usher, quietly and firmly, for the microphone reserved for testimonies.
The usher hesitated.
Tell him Blessing is here. He'll understand.
Whatever the usher whispered to the pastor, his face changed before she even reached the front. The confident rhythm of his sermon broke. His hand, mid-gesture, simply froze in the air.
Good morning. Many of you call this man Daddy. I called him Oliver 11 years ago, when I was 18 years old, homeless, and sleeping in an uncompleted building. He told me he loved me. When I told him I was pregnant, he told me to get rid of it, and then he disappeared. Until I found him here, wearing a different name.
Is it true? I can't do this anymore. Yes.
The word detonated through the sanctuary like something physical. Gasps, cries. A woman near the front, his wife, stood up so fast her chair clattered backward, both hands pressed to her mouth, and walked out without looking at him once.
Reverend Father Okeke's downfall, a week later, was quieter, but no less complete. Blessing did not need to say much that day. She had learned, by then, that the truth barely needs decoration once it's finally allowed to speak.
She approached a bishop who happened to be visiting that parish. A coincidence Mr. Bassi had quietly arranged to be no coincidence at all.
And handed him a single sealed envelope before the service began. Inside was a dated, notarized account
Along with hospital and parish transfer records, Mr. Bassi had spent 8 months assembling.
The bishop read it during the opening hymn. By the time the homily was meant to begin, he stood instead.
There are matters that have come to light that this parish and this man must answer for. Effective immediately, Father Okeke is relieved of his duties, pending full investigation.
Reverend Father Okeke did not need dragging to confess the way Oliver had. He simply lowered his head, removed his stole with shaking hands.
Blessing watched from the third pew. She felt no triumph. She felt, for the first time in over a decade, simply lighter. Like setting down something she hadn't realized she'd been carrying on her back the entire time.
Pastor Oliver was removed from his church within the week. His name was stripped from the building signage. His ministry license was revoked by the church's national board. But he lost everything he had built his second life upon: his pulpit, his congregation's trust, and his family's faith in him. Reverend Father Okeke was formally defrocked after the diocese's internal investigation confirmed a pattern stretching back years. His marriage, already publicly fractured, ended in divorce 3 months later. He never went to prison. The law was slow and imperfect about what he had done to Blessing.
He lived out his remaining years in quiet disgrace, supported by distant relatives, attending no church at all. Neither man received what some would call true justice. Blessing knew this and made her peace with it in her own time.
I didn't do this so they would suffer the way I suffered. I did it so no other 18-year-old girl selling food by a building site has to wonder if anyone will ever believe her.
There was, however, one consequence that was not symbolic.
Mr. Emmanuel, the 48-year-old man her foster mother had once let into their home, the very first hand ever raised against her, was located in the same investigation. The evidence Mr. Bassi gathered, combined with a new statement Blessing finally gave, years after she had run from that house, was enough.
He was arrested, tried, and convicted of child abuse. He is currently serving his sentence.
Her foster mother, the police officer who had once been so happy to bring a little girl home, learned of all of it the same day from a reporter calling for comment. She drove 3 hours to find Blessing afterward. When Blessing opened the door, the older woman simply stood there in her old uniform jacket, weeping without a single word for almost a full minute.
I'm sorry, I chose him over you. I will spend the rest of my life sorry for that.
Blessing did not invite her in that day, but she did not close the door either.
I forgive you. I'm not ready to call you Mummy again, but I forgive you.
It was not reconciliation. It was something smaller and somehow more honest. A door.
Years passed gently after that, the way they're supposed to. Blessing rose through the ranks of her company until she didn't need the company anymore.
She started her own foundation instead, one built entirely around the kind of girl she used to be. Orphaned, overlooked, sleeping somewhere she shouldn't have had to. The foundation built shelters. It funded school fees for teenage mothers, so they would never have to choose, the way Blessing once did, between an education and a child. It trained caseworkers to actually listen when a young girl said a trusted adult had hurt her.
And the orphanage where her second daughter had grown up, the very one Blessing visited twice a month for years, never once allowed to say the word mummy,
received the largest single donation in its history. New dormitories, a proper kitchen, a scholarship fund with no end date attached to it. Her second daughter, now a teenager, came to live with Blessing and Nena not long after. The reunion was quieter than the first. Older children carry their own particular kind of caution, but it was real, and it deepened, slowly, the way real things do. Mama Chisum, well into her 70s now, still ran the buka, though Blessing had long since offered to retire her.
And do what? Sit and watch you be successful all day? I will die behind this frying pan, thank you. Some evenings, all of them sat together on that same leaning porch. Mama Chisum, Blessing, Nena, and her sister.
What was done to you was never a reflection of your worth. It was a reflection of their choice. Blessing did not become whole because the men who hurt her finally faced consequences. She became whole long before that. In a kitchen that smelled of fried plantain, in a kerosene-lit textbook, in a promise whispered to a sleeping child. The reckoning was never what healed her. It was simply what the truth was finally allowed to do once she stopped being afraid to speak it. The girl who once sold food by the buka, the girl lived in an uncompleted building, grew up to build shelters for girls just like her. That is the only justice that ever truly lasts. She never forgot to love herself in the journey.